Welcome to the podcast 9394. I am Travis Roy. Oh, man. When you're a kid, you've not interacted with enough people probably to get a real sense of what is and what is not quote unquote normal. You have yet to learn that normal it's a fucking construct, that it's a fantasy. It's an abstract. And you, or perhaps myself even, might, at the time, labor under this mistaken belief that you are less than or wrong somehow, incorrect, that you're just doing it wrong, and that you're weird. And then you get out there in the world a little bit, you start interacting with people, and it's like, oh, fuck me, I'm disappointed to learn that I've got my shit together more than so many other people. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and argue that I have my shit together or even that you do. But you and I both know that we have our shit together more than, whoever that guy is on the freeway who just pissed us off. We've got that going for us. And my point here is that when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I thought I was pretty damn weird and was unnecessarily shy and embarrassed about some things. As I got further into my friend group and that friend group grew stronger, I became more confident in discussing what I believed in and what I liked and what I thought about. And one of those people that helped me get that confidence was Morgan Peak, one of my best friends from high school. But, we became friends probably 95, 96 or so. As he and I discuss on the show, we interacted to some degree since we were little kids, but we didn't really become friends until well into high school. And would learn that, hey, there's a lot that he and I had in common. And if we were weird together, which is the best way to be. So here's me and Morgan in our full-on normalness, which is to say, we're as weird as you and everybody else. Here we are talking about the Jawbox album, For Your Own Special Sweetheart, that came out in 1994 and fucking kicked my ass. And Morgan's too. And probably yours if you're listening to this podcast. But maybe not. If you're not familiar with the album, do check it out. There are many remastered versions available. But for now, here is me and my old friend Morgan Peak talking For Your Own Special Sweetheart. Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello.
Oh my God.
What's happening?
Nope. Hi.
Hey, buddy.
No, what's up, dude?
Good to see your face, man. I haven't talked to you or seen you in a long time.
It's been a while. Thanks for having me on this thing, man.
Dude, thank you for coming on.
It feels weird because I got these headphones in. Like, all right, here we go. All right, we're good. We're good.
Of course, in the 90s, that's how you listened to all music was on headphones. But it wasn't like the in the ear. It was like the foamy jobs.
The giant ones. Yeah, the big weird ones on the Pioneer stereo that my dad had.
Yeah. Or like the little foamy jobs that have like the little gray. Like,
oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do remember those. And then the little fuzz would fall off of it, and then I just put the other ones jam. Yeah,
if they got old enough. So, how you been? You're in Fort Myers, right?
I live in Fort Myers. I ride my bike to work over at the assisted living facility. So I do some cooking over there, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell the people how you and I know one another.
I met you, man. It's been a long time ago. Where did I first meet you? Freshman year? No, way before that. Because I was thinking about that Smashing Pumpkins shirt I wore back in middle school. Because you were talking about Space Boy.
Yeah.
I think I met you in 6th grade, maybe.
Which elementary school did you go to?
Village.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We knew each other at Village. I mean, we weren't friends necessarily, but we both went to Village Elementary.
Yeah, went to Village. My first memory was in middle school. Was it middle school, maybe?
I don't know. My earliest memory of you is, I think, middle school. I remember walking through the hallway and you were out in the hall because you were in trouble, and
Oh
I wasn't in trouble.
yeah.
I had just gone to the bathroom, but I remember like that was like the first exchange that we had. And I was like, "Hey, did you get in
That's
trouble?" You're like, "Yeah, I got in trouble." I was like, "That kid's cool."
See, I was thinking the same thing of you, and I just didn't know what to think. I was like, I do remember that was at Farms Middle School.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
first time I think we ever actually spoke, which I don't remember that with a lot of my friends, but I do remember that with you.
I remember when you played Disarm.
Referenced on that on
Yep.
my second episode. Yeah.
And your episode was awesome. I got
Thank
to
you.
hear Aaron, and yeah, I distinctly remember that.
I think we were friendly by that point.
Yeah, I was like, I got to try to be cool with this guy because he's playing guitar in front of everybody, and I want to do that.
And of course, you did do that, and we ended up being in many bands together.
Yeah.
Very hilariously to me, somehow, like in the school yearbook, you ended up not getting class musician, and I did because everyone remembered me playing Disarm because I know like 4 chords on guitar, and like here is like this virtuoso, which I'm like,
No, no, not like anything like that.
you've always been a very talented guitarist. You're modest, but you know that you are. You know, you're a talented guy. You
I'm all
gotta
right.
know that about yourself.
I'm all right. I have my moments. Have my
You have your
moments.
moments. Technical, very technical playing and whatnot.
Yeah, I could do a little hit, little this, little that, little what have you.
Would you say the Jawbox was an influence to you as a kid?
Unbelievable. I was just watching them on 120 Minutes because I was like, oh, we're going to talk about Jawbox. I better know something about them instead of just
You
obsessing
picked
about
it.
how to obsessing. No, I know it's incredible. That album is like unbelievable to me. And I was just listening to them talk with the guy, and I was like, this guy is awful. The guy interviewing.
Oh, was it Louis Largent?
Yeah, how do you
Yeah.
know his name?
He was like the program director over there, so he like
Okay.
would be responsible for getting us into. I mean, I don't know about you, but I got into them from the Savory video from 120 Minutes. But yeah, he wasn't a great interviewer.
Has the rave thing caught on in DC yet? Is that has it hit those shores yet?
That's nothing we would really know about.
I would picture you guys as okay.
Right there.
No, we sit at home and
Sucking
read
the
books.
pacifiers.
Yeah, that was a really stupid question. So
The whole time I'm thinking, okay, this is awesome. He's doing an okay job. And then it just gets worse and worse. And I noticed he wasn't really talking about the songs. He was talking about like the cover, and then he was talking about like the scene. And I was like, is this guy even heard Jawbox before? And then I was like, man. So anyway, it just weirded me out. But yeah, the Savory video was incredible. And then it started to remind me of that time about all the other videos have this like surreal feel, like kind of had the same 90s feel. And it was just interesting to look at it. Black Hole Sun,
Yeah, the early 90s
like
videos.
100%.
I know a lot of them were directed by Spike Jonze, like when he was getting off his feet, and a lot of them were kind of like had a similar sort of vibe. Like it'd always be like in someone's backyard and like
The Dig Believe.
yeah, looking like the neighborhood from Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
And but it'd be like some surreal kind of like, oh, like is it consumerism terrible? But we're on MTV, tongue in
Yeah.
cheek.
You're putting it into words much better than I was trying to, but that's exact in all of them. So anyway, that video was super cool, but I didn't really get into them, and we didn't have MTV, and we didn't have cable at when I lived on Green Road over there. So I just got into it because I bought the CD from that Columbia House, 8 CDs for a penny. thing.
Yep. Okay. I got the cassette from the 13 for a penny from Columbia House.
It blew my mind. I was like, nobody knows about it. This is going to be my band. And I wrote like Jaw and Box on my Converse that like I
Yeah.
went to Kmart with my mom to get. I was like, yes, I got to,
And here we were like at the same school at the same time, both thinking that we alone were listening to Jawbox.
And that's the incredible thing. I didn't know how much exposure they got on MTV because we didn't really have it. I think I had to go to my grandparents to like watch it.
Yeah.
And like, I just remember like they're this obscure band, but I come to find out they're really not that obscure. They were pretty well known. They obviously got signed to Atlantic.
My house, my mom's house anyways, got cable in like 92 or 93. So I was very deliberately staying up every Sunday night and recording 120 minutes and then watching that recording like over and over and over again. For there was a while, I mean, I wish I still had it, but I had like just volumes of that stuff. So I imagine a lot of people like us across the country were like thinking like, oh, nobody else knows Dig
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
you know, whoever. Jawbox in this case, but in fact,
That's funny because all those bands were from the 8 CDs that I got for a penny.
dude,
Like you're doing there, like Monster, the REM
Mhm.
CD, and then you just a Dig,
yep.
a Cracker. But that was the one. That was like the gem out of the whatever CDs I got, and I was like, Automatic for the People was another one, but I was like, this is incredible.
I've already said on the show before that I did a few accounts. I did BMG too, and I made some fake Columbia House names. But that mail order service, which has got to be like the worst business model in history, what a tremendous impact on a generation of kids that could not be held to contracts.
Yeah,
It just got so many albums that way.
yeah. That's all I really remember about that. And then I got the album, and I was like, this every second on it is amazing.
Yeah. So, okay, every second on this album is amazing. Let's talk about the albums a little bit more in depth. You and I had talked over text in advance. We both joked about the fact that neither one of us are great at song names. Like literally, like I'm like looking at the album before you and I went on. I'm like, oh yeah, that one is You Trow. That one is Real. I get them reversed.
Exactly the same. I did the exact same thing, and I'm thinking to myself, like, Cooling Card or Green Glass, and
Yeah.
I couldn't get them straight.
They're side by side. Yeah.
Yeah, and I started thinking, what's the downside of the album? And I was like, I don't know. It's one of the few albums where,
Uh-huh.
and they're very few. I can like on one hand, like every second, I just play it the whole way through.
So you have no criticisms. There's no weak points on the album.
If there is a song that I have to choose that I would be like,
You don't have to. I mean,
LSMFT.
LSMFT. Yeah, I like that one, but go ahead.
Only reason I know that is because I just looked at it. That is not even the down one. Like it's just that would be the one if I was forced to like skip or not listen to.
Uh-huh.
It might be that one, but it's incredible.
I agree. This is not an album with a lot of low points in it. I don't have a lot of criticisms. I think Gun to My Head had to make one. I don't feel that Whitney Walks is a really strong album ender. I think for me, it's a little bit kind of... Because the album's so relentless and aggressive, it just kind of like does not let up. And then you get to the very end, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like the reason I didn't pick that one though is because as you go along, it starts to like be more cohesive, and it starts to like I just fall into it.
It builds up nice.
On LSMFT, it's just like I think it's in 3/4, and it feels a little bit repetitive, but again, it's an awesome hook. So it's like,
Okay, so we don't have to criticize. What about Gun to Your Head, best song on the album? I don't know why I'm always putting guns to heads, but
yeah, I mean, like I'm not a violent guy. No, you're anti. Let's see.
I mean, own a gun, let alone many guns, is to necessitate.
That would necessitate
an entire rack.
Yes, man. So best song, is that the one?
Yeah. What stands out to you if you had to pick a best song? Just one. Name one best song on this album if you can, sir. I challenge you.
Man, it's so tough. It was the Green Glass. Is that the one that's Motorist is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I could just name off.
Just name all the songs.
Yeah, because I mean, you could go down the list. I mean, like the ones it's not savory.
It's not. It's funny that almost to me that they made that the single, although I do love the song. I mean, it's kind of in the middle of the album for me in terms of favorites. I think Cooling Card for me, that bass line is so sick. It just really pulls me in.
It's more of a it's more of like a crazier one. If I like it's Jackpot Plus in
Yeah.
which he
Oh, it's so intense.
that one's intense. And then there's the one that's is it Cruel Swing? I think is right next to it.
Fixed. Watch. Right?
That one, yes, that one's awesome. FF equals 66 is he invites the store.
Not their lyrics.
That's so. When I first heard that, I was like, "What is happening? Is there an alien?" Like I couldn't. But now, if I don't think about the lyrics, I can just talk about like he invites the store. He lives by instinct with fears that are not fears.
But pickles of ecstasy.
And then it starts and it's. I was trying to crack the code and I was like A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm like, F is number 6 in the alphabet. That's why it's called F.
Yeah, it's funny to me to start an album with maybe the least accessible song on the album, and the lyrics are not your own. They're from some poem by some other dude.
Okay.
It's a kind of an interesting choice for them to have made.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then again, one of the things that I really loved about the entire album and Jawbox, that like the lyrics are jagged and weird, and it's not about like Motorist, I guess, is about this bizarre love with an automobile accident. But even they said that it's just like, it is what you make of it, like the lyrics. I always loved that because I was so used to hearing like all these songs about women, like when my dad would listen to like the Allman Brothers, which I love.
Sure.
But I was like, this is something cool, man, because I don't understand what's going on.
It's abstract and interpretive.
Yeah. I got a lot from that. And then there were other bands that I felt were doing the same thing way like in the future. Like it started to make more sense to me.
Like bands that they influenced?
Yeah, like At the Drive-In, for example. I always think of them when it's just like these lyrics that don't like stream of consciousness type lyrics, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but
I was thinking the same exact thing, the same exact band.
And I thought it was so hip. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, I wrote a lot of lyrics, and I always considered Steve Malkmus and Jay Robbins kind of specifically impactful for how I wrote, in terms of just being like, whatever fits. The lyrics are an instrument too, and so just whatever I have to say to make the sound that feels right.
Exactly.
What I'm actually saying is fucking meaningless.
Yes, because everybody will take it on their own meaning of it. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm no lyricist, so I mean, like, I really was focused on the song as a whole. I was like, these are incredible, because there weren't solos and there weren't. It was just
right.
It was very new to me because I was so used to hearing the standard Jimi Hendrix type thing. You're going to take a lead now. It was awesome.
You know, and it felt genreless at the time. Like, I mean, now they'd be like, oh, it's PC post-hardcore, blah, blah, blah. But like, to me at the time,
no idea what that meant.
And I still I'm not sure if I know what that means. Like, it's alternative, it's indie rock, like whatever. Like, they always just felt so uniquely themselves. And while I have heard bands since them that sound like them, and I'm sure that there's bands, and I've heard, Rites of Spring and that kind of stuff that came before them, but still, like, this just feels, I don't know, it feels very unique. And did you ever get much into their stuff before or after this album?
See, that was the thing too, and that was like their before stuff I never got into. And if I'm just being totally honest, I don't really listen to that stuff. I was comparing them to like bands that have, or albums or whatever. Like, I'll listen to the first 2 Weezer albums and I won't listen to anything else. I'll listen to, and then it'll go on and on, but there'll be albums.
Right.
So that Jawbox album, and then the one after it,
the self-titled album,
absolutely incredible. But this one specifically was really what I latched onto. And I heard some of the stuff that they did before they signed to Atlantic, and again, if I'm being totally honest, it just didn't have
Do
the
be honest.
same. It wasn't as good in my opinion.
And it also wasn't recorded as well. It was a lot rougher of recordings because like
It
they
was
hadn't quite, they weren't on Sire Records or whatever they ended up being, or Interscope, whatever they ended up being on. I should
Atlantic. And,
Atlantic. Thank
yeah,
you.
and the harmonies are incredible. And I knew they had the freedom to do what they wanted, but that sound is unbelievable to me. And especially, I think it's because, again, a 90s thing is there's a girl bassist with a pick.
Well, there's something about, and I don't mean to gender that, but since you did, no, but you're right, because there is something about bands like them and like Talking Heads and the Pixies where the bass lines are so up front and they so carry the whole, like they're really like, I don't know how to describe it, but they tend to be like very bass-centric bands in a way that really works.
Yeah, the way it sounds it's really punchy, and it's like a mid-range and that was the cool thing too, is like I never heard anything that was, when I listened to it on headphones, I couldn't hear anybody, anything, because it was there's a certain bottom end that, again, it didn't have. It has like this low mid that I could just absolutely crank, and it was like the loudest, just abrasive music, but at the same time it had these unbelievably beautiful harmonies that they had. I don't know. I'm still in all of it. It came out in 94?
February 8th of 1994.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with you. Like, I listen to Novelty and Grip some, especially Novelty. Grip hardly ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But mostly this album and the self-titled after are pretty much what I go to. Did you ever get into Burning Airlines? I never got into them myself.
I did. Yeah, I listened to, I think it's called Mission Control. I'm not sure
Mission Control, the first album.
They're on my, my brother actually got into them more. And then I think I got one of his CDs and listened to it. And it's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah, but I just never sunk my teeth into it, right?
Yeah, right. Jawbox was always the one that I would go to, and I listened to them on occasion. And a side note is, I think because they came out right when the towers collapsed, they canceled some of their shows, and they got less publicity because they were called Burning Airlines.
That was a fuck up.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I have to say that because of the way they recorded it, it was so hard to figure out what they were playing. Not because it wasn't clear.
This album or the Burning Airlines album?
For Your Own Special Sweetheart.
Okay.
Which gave it more of like an enigma or mystique, because I couldn't figure out what they were doing.
Yeah.
Because when there's a bottom end, I could always figure out what the bottom notes would go there. But the way that they recorded it was incredible. But I've started to crack the code, I think.
It's starting to demystify it
a little bit, which kind of scares me because I kind of don't want to, because I was like, it's one of those few bands again, that have these albums that I can't figure out how to play.
And well, I mean, you think about music so much more differently than I do, because you reverse engineer it and you want to like break it down and like learn it. And to me, it's all, I've never been good at guitar and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I totally get what you're saying about it feeling almost mystical. It's such a whole album in a way that not a lot of albums are. It's like really, it's really cohesive as one thing.
I totally agree. And all those standard words that you would read in like it's got that jagged, angular, discordy sound. I didn't know any of that stuff. So when I heard it in 94, I was like, oh, it sounds poppy, but it sounds abrasive. It sounds like it could fit into any genre, but it also sounds like it could be played on the radio, because it's got it's very listenable. But at the same time, I know people that are like, what is this? I don't know.
Did you ever put the album down for a while, or has it always been in regular rotation?
And I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the few ones that fit into any time frame that I was in, because I had that, I'm not listening to nothing but pop punk, no, I'm Epitaph Records all the way,
Right.
or
We had those moments in our life when you and we were just very into punk and very into like hard
yeah,
screamo and that kind of stuff. We had those moments, but I never put this album down ever.
yeah, it's in that same group of albums that I have maybe 10, well, probably
Uh-huh.
more than now, but I never stopped listening because it would fit into any time frame.
Doing this podcast, I'm having people come on and sometimes listening to albums I've not listened to in a long time. Like I've been listening to Undertow from Tool
Me too.
and really,
Yeah, like nonstop.
well, I've not listened to that album since the '90s, and I'm like I listened to Dookie because got our friend Christian coming on doing Green Day's Dookie, and I've not listened to that since the '90s. So it feels kind of like weird almost to kind of revisit those albums,
Yeah.
they feel like I'm unearthing something. But this album, Jawbox, is For Your Own Special Sweetheart. I mean, it just feels like a fucking Tuesday. It's like this is just this is
Yeah.
like to start my morning with that is I've been doing that for 25 years or whatever, or 30 years.
Totally agree. It's been extremely consistent. And one of
Yeah.
the reasons is because it's recorded so incredibly well, because that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, you're right, man. The recording is awesome.
When I'm riding my bike to work, there are some amazing albums, like for example, like a Dead Kennedys album, right? But it's not
Mhm.
recorded well enough for me to listen to on the bike when there's all that stuff going on.
Oh, because it's all tinny.
Yeah, but Jawbox has that, I don't know, it's got that low mid where it works. I can't
Yeah.
explain it, but they've always been there.
I admittedly had to look this up. It was produced by Ted Nicely, who I've heard of. I don't know
Ooh,
if you've
I
heard
have
of him.
no idea.
According to Wikipedia, he's known for producing Jawbox, Fugazi, Girls Against Boys, which that makes a whole lot of sense. Both those bands
Okay.
fit right. Like imagine seeing Fugazi and Jawbox and Girls Against Boys all live together. That'd be fucking
Sure.
incredible. Did you
Yeah.
ever see Jawbox live?
I've never seen Jawbox live, and it's upsetting. It's a disappointment.
Well, it was hard for us because I mean they came like this album broke when we were 13 and
Yeah.
they broke up by the time we were 16 or 17.
Yeah.
And so for me, they were like, I felt the same. I was like, if they ever get back together, I must see them. And I did. I saw them in 2019 before Bill Bardot left the band. He left the band because they lived too far apart, which is like the dumbest reason ever. Okay, it's like your Jawbox.
I've done some things.
Yeah, I mean, I broke up our high school band because I wanted to spend more time with my girlfriend. So I guess there are dumber reasons.
I've done real dumb things. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to see them in 2019 at the Union Transfer in Philadelphia. It was like right up front.
Oh my God.
And not to rub it in, but it was such a
Go
moment.
for it. Yeah.
It was such like I've finally done it. Like I've achieved Nirvana. Like I finally fucking saw the band, this holy grail band. It was amazing.
That's incredible. Yeah, I would have liked to see. And the one thing I have to mention is my favorite cover, the best cover I've ever heard is Cornflake Girl. When they covered Tori Amos' Cornflake. I mean, that's how they did it. I mean, I don't care. It's better than the original. It's amazing. That's my favorite cover. Now, there are other ones that are high in the running, and I know that one I think is the secret song on the second.
On the self-titled album, right?
Self-titled?
Yeah. It's such a surprise. Did you ever listen to all right, so I actually hate it when bands release that's a strong word, but I don't really care for it when like remastered versions are put out. Well, I guess remastered's okay. It's just like on Spotify or whatever, here's the album, and then there's like 10 more songs like beyond the album. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with yes.
I hate that.
If you remaster it, yeah, very opinionated. If you remaster it, that's fine, but I don't want to hear any of the other shit.
Right. So the other shit, there's like 3 other songs from this era. Did you ever listen to them? Like, what are they called? Little Shaver is one of them.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's like a special edition of this album that has stuff recorded from this era on it. I don't know why I've never really dug into it. I guess this album feels kind of holy to me. Like, don't fuck with it.
You're exactly right. Like it's one of those where there's just specific, like even like the band Hum. Like I'll listen to their 2 albums, or no, sorry, now it's 3. But I won't listen to Electra 2000 except for it's like Ironclad Lou maybe. But I have albums, I guess you'd say. I'm the guy who has just the albums.
What do you mean? Like that's what you listen? You don't like listen to mixes and stuff?
Like I won't listen to the entire band's catalog, like ever. Like I'll just listen to like only
One
the
album.
one album or two albums, or that's it. And it's very rare that I'll listen to, like, I'll just pop in all of them. Like, I have specific albums. Like, okay, we're going to listen to Jawbox, so that means I'm listening to For Your Own Special Sweetheart and maybe the one after that. But that's it.
I do the same thing. I mean, there'll be a band with like some, just some storied band. And I'm like, I'm going to listen to these two albums. That's pretty much it. Although sometimes if they're big enough, I'll start like kind of working my way through them.
Yeah.
What song should we go out on for this interview with you? What would be like the closer?
Oh, I already know it. Was it Breathe? Is that the one that's like, that's it. That's the one.
That's the one?
That's the one.
Okay. All right. That's a good one.
I love that one. That one influenced me big time.
Yeah.
How they single note pick the notes in I think it's the chorus, or it's the whole song basically. But I was like, oh, that's so cool. No band does that. A lot of bands do it, but I was like, that's awesome.
It felt new at the time, right?
It felt, super new.
That's great. All right. I'm going to give you some options, some shows that you could have seen live in 1994, bands that were touring. I don't know exactly what came to Detroit, but I know at least what was like touring around that time. So I'm going to give you some options. It's 1994. You can go back in time, the year or even the date For Your Own Special came out. Bands that were on tour at this time that you could have seen include Rush. The band Rush was touring with Candlebox.
Oh my God. I thought they were touring with Primus.
In 93, they toured with Primus, and I saw that.
I know.
The following year, they toured.
I was jealous. Candlebox? Madonna's album, Madonna's record label.
They were on that.
Yeah. All I know.
Aerosmith was touring. You could have seen Aerosmith. That was an option.
Nope.
You could have seen Nirvana with the Buzzcocks.
Oh my God. Really? With the Buzzcocks, huh? Interesting.
Yep. And you could have seen around that time also touring was the Crash Test Dummies. I don't know who they were touring with. So you're going to go see a band. Are you going to see the Crash Test Dummies, Nirvana and the Buzzcocks? What else did I say?
You said Rush.
Aerosmith.
I already know the answer.
You're going to see Rush?
Yes, I'm going to see Rush. I'm absolutely.
Rush and Candlebox?
I mean, more like Rush, but I mean, Nirvana's a close second, but I have to see Rush, which I'd never seen.
I kind of figured. Oh, you never saw Rush?
No, Travis.
I saw Rush and you didn't? That's wild. That's not right.
I've never seen Rush.
There was a 40-minute drum solo.
And I've never seen Jawbox. Dude, just do an episode on bands Morgan's never seen. So I'll just cry. I'll just cry in the corner, and maybe you can put mosquitoes and diapers or something.
The Rub It In festival.
I like it.
All right. Well, if I ever get a time machine, I will take you personally back to see Rush with Candlebox. You've chosen wisely, Rush and Candle. I mean, Candlebox should be fun to see back in the day too.
Yeah, it's not like I loathe them, but like I was like Candlebox, and then I'm thinking Rush, amazing.
They were just like a hair away from being Collective Soul, which made them like 2 hairs away from being Creed.
Oh my God, you just I gotta go. I'm done now. I don't.
And they all start with the letter C.
Yeah, Collective Soul, Candlebox, Creed.
I'm on to something.
Crash Test Dummies.
All right. Any last points you wanted to make about For Your Own Special Sweetheart? Anything that we didn't cover?
No, not really. I can't stress enough that it will forever go down in my top 5 albums of all time because of the listenability. Like, I can listen to it and I get all these memories come back. It's new every time because I get something from it every time I listen to it. It's an incredible album.
I think you hit it. Like, it feels new even still. I listen to it all the time and it's still like, maybe it helps if we don't know the song titles that well, because I'll be like, I'll kind of click to one randomly sometimes and I'll be like, oh yeah, that song fucking rules. I forgot which one that was.
Yeah, it's not like a specific timepiece where it was like, oh, it's got this specific feel, it was recorded this way. The way that it's recorded makes it seem new every time you listen to it. It's fresh.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, man. That's a good note to end on. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Morgan Peak and Jawbox's For Your Own Special Sweetheart. Two of my favorite things. Together. As they have been since 1994. But also, for me and for you, it's new or different or something. It's happening anyway. Morgan, so good to talk with him. If you are interested, you can hear music that me and Morgan made together in a band that we were in, referenced in the episode I did with Dustin Lentz. When we talked about the Dinosaur Jr. album, Where You Been, he mentioned my band Rain Is Wet a couple times. We're on Spotify. If you wanted to find out what that sounds like, you could. Morgan still jamming guitar, still playing guitar for us, and you've been hearing him play here a little bit here and there. He was kind enough to send in some versions of him playing some of the riffage, some of the licks off this album, which is pretty cool. Good to have him on. He will be back. He's going to be back in the nearest future to discuss the 1994 album from the band Superchunk, Foolish. So we're already planning on doing that. Maybe you'd like to come on. It doesn't always have to be one of my oldest and dearest friends. I'm totally happy to have a complete stranger on if it's a thing that you're interested in doing. If you want to come on and talk with me, we can have a conversation about virtually whatever album you like. You can just email me at 9394podcast@gmail.com. Find me on social media. In the years 1993 and 1994, the band Cop Shoot Cop released 2 albums. In 94, they released Release, which is a kick-ass album. And in 1993, before that, they released the album Ask Questions Later. Ask Questions Later featured the single $10 bill that you're hearing right now.
$10 bill in your pocket, $10 bill. What you gonna buy with that greenback? What kind of thrill? $10 bill in your pocket.
Were so weird to me and awesome. Horns and like hardcore, sort of. They really carved their own path. Kind of, I think comparisons could be made to, say, Rocket from the Crypt. But these guys are like doing something dark and grimy. And just so New York, where I've never been still. But I sense it in these albums. And so it'd be fun to have someone to talk about these albums with me, or virtually any other album that you want to come on and talk about. Yeah. So, and if you want more of me, by the way, I have another podcast. It's called Cinema 9, the Cinema 9 podcast. I do that with my buddies Eric and Mike. And we talk about movies. We just talk about movies every week. We talk about a different movie and ask ourselves, does it still hold up? So by all means, check that out. And I think that's it for now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that's it. Bye. A music podcast with Travis Roy, is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.